psoriasis and visit skyrizzy.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZY to learn more.
Get ready for a heartwarming experience with Legacy Plumbing and Heating. At Legacy, our mission is simple: to provide the best plumbing and heating experience in town, while also being dedicated to serving our community.
You can make a difference today by nominating a family in need for a brand new furnace thanks to Legacy Plumbing and Heating with the Warm Heart, Warm Home Initiative. Visit WDAYradionow.com today and nominate someone in need.
Remember, life flows better with Legacy. Join us in spreading warmth and love this season of giving.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
Welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus at 1:06 in the afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, joined by our wonderful, talented Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. Justin's got the day off today, tending to a very sick little child. He had to bring him to the ER last night, so I guess he's doing a little better today. But, yeah, poor young Sterling. He's been fighting whatever he's got here for the last couple of weeks, so hopefully he gets better. Justin, if you're listening, then give little Sterling our best and tell that little guy to get better.
Hopefully you're both napping. It's been a long night, I
That's
bet.
probably exactly what it is. No doubt about it. Did you get out and enjoy the weekend, Bridgette? Especially Sunday. I'm kind of keen in on Sunday. It was a gorgeous one, wasn't it?
You know, I'll say tailgating on Saturday was really nice. No doubt we had some tents up because there's a little bit of a breeze, but man, with the sunshine coming in, it warmed up great. And yesterday, I couldn't help it. I really had to get out and take a walk because it was just too nice to ignore.
Oh, man, no doubt about it. Normal highs this time of the year are in the upper 30s. So any day we can get like this, we're robbing a day away from Old Man Winter. And I think we can all be pretty happy about that.
It's the right thing to do though, Dean, because we had all that cold over Halloween,
right?
So we should be getting a few days back, right? That's how this should work.
Yeah, I like that. Well, just to kind of put things in perspective, last year on this date, we were 24 degrees and we had 2 inches of snow. So what a difference a year makes. And if you're wondering what this winter, you're thinking, wow, like this is one heck of a nice November. Is this going to portray anything, what the winter is going to be like? And in about 3 weeks coming up here, we will have our winter weather outlook with Gary Lezak, and we'll be breaking down the LRC pattern and what it entails for this upcoming winter season. I haven't had a lot of chance to talk with Gary outside of this is a totally different pattern than last year. I think we can all agree on that. This mimics what we had about 3 years ago, it looks like. And we'll see if that pans out. And if you remember 3 years ago, we skated away with a very easy winter. We had our cold spells, but I think we only had, oh boy, I don't know, 30 plus inches of snow. It was pretty low. So
it was. But we still got nice ice for all those ice fishermen out there that want to make sure they can get that.
And yes. I know a lot of the ice fishermen have been, they're kind of getting a little nervous. Like, hey, this is this is too warm. Like, this should not be like this. And you're right, but believe me, there's plenty of winter left. It might be a little delayed in ice fishing, but we'll get there. Don't worry.
Still plenty of time. Absolutely. We're going to make it work.
Yep, we will get there. And we're looking at a beautiful day out there today. Temperatures already in the far southern valley out around Oaks, already in the low to mid 50s. And we're looking at temperatures here across much of the valley and in the Lakes Country currently in the mid to upper 40s. We'll top out in the lower 50s today with a southwest wind at 10 to 15. Some high clouds coming into the area. Breezy conditions overnight, not as cold, mid 30s. And tomorrow, the pick day of the week, with highs around 60. Even Wednesday, not that bad, mid 50s. But Clipper system will bring in much colder weather starting Thursday as we'll have highs in the 40s, but fall into the 30s by late in the day with windy conditions. It will feel like November on Thursday, so get out and enjoy today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. All 3 days looking pretty good. Still no big storms in sight. I still think there's going to be a change come Thanksgiving week, but when I say change, I'm just seeing colder weather. I'm not seeing any big storms for us. That might not be the case throughout the lower 48, as that's a big travel week. So keep up to date on the forecast for Thanksgiving week. It does look like that week we will start to see a pattern change across much of the lower 48.
I feel like anytime I travel, I should have a big beacon on my pickup that says like weather changing in advance or something like that, because I mean, it's always possible that I'm the cause, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yep. So you got some weather.
Try to narrow it down.
You got some weather tidbits you said for today, Bridgette.
I do. It's the beginning of November, and there are some famous dates, you might say, that have happened. So first of all, this time of the year, we've already had quite a lot of fog, and it's not unexpected based on our weather. But November 7th, 1940, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, also known as Galloping Gertie in Tacoma, Washington, collapsed in high winds. So that was probably a little higher than most people would have guessed, but I've seen video footage of that bridge, and it literally just moved and undulated in any wind that they got. It was pretty wild.
Yikes. Wow. Yeah, I would not want to be on that, that's for sure.
Then, secondly, on November 12th, 1956, an iceberg measuring 208 miles by 60 miles. Okay, so put that in perspective. 208 miles. So it's 200 miles from Fargo to Bismarck by 60 miles. So that's pretty much just about from Fargo to Bismarck and then to South Dakota. That was discovered in the South Pacific. And that was in 1956.
Really?
Like nobody noticed it before?
Wow.
Hey, what do you guys think that is?
Well, that's just a little ice cube out here. Don't worry about it.
Just minor deal, minor. So yes, that was discovered in 1956. And so many things that we can talk about when it comes to fog, weather, etc. But I also want to make sure to touch on a couple of items that are going on in our farm community when it comes to some of our ag headlines. One of those would be starting January 1st, due to the Corporate Transparency Act. Starting January 1st, you will be required to report online to something called the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, and that's real. FinCEN is actually a real entity, and you need to file if you are a corporation, an LLC, or a limited partnership. This may include some of our farms in different communities. A large farm operation with more than 20 employees and at least $5 million in gross receipts will be exempt from filing this information, but it will be required for filing other entities below that level. So as we get into December, we have more and more folks going to talk to their tax accountants, preparing what happened this year economically, and that is a question you will probably want to visit about with your accountant when you are in their offices this year, making sure that you file, because not filing could result in fines of $500 a day and potential jail time.
Oh, that's not good.
New rule.
Right?
New rule, folks. We got to follow it.
Yeah,
Yes.
Always new rules. Always new rules.
Yes.
You want to hit on a couple ag topics now, or you want to hold those off until...
Well, we can. That was certainly one of them. But here's the other one that might catch your attention.
Uh-huh.
Camel milk.
Camel milk? I didn't know you could I didn't know you could milk a camel.
You, in fact, can. And camel milk is as closely related to human milk as any others out there. So to step aside goat milk, etc. Camels are taking the stand on this one. And there are a handful of camel dairies in the United States. I'm working to see if we can get one of them on as a guest for us one day here in December.
Now, are these the same camels that you would find in the desert? They are the
Yes.
Seriously.
They are. Mm-hmm. And the pictures I have been looking at, because I am completely and utterly fascinated by this whole situation. These are one hump camels. It looks like, although maybe I'm not a very good judge of it, but it looks like one hump camels. Maybe that makes a difference if there's supposed to be one or two. This particular dairy had previously been a dairy cow dairy, and they transitioned over to camel milk in 2014. They found a market.
I did not know that camels had teats that you could milk. I did. Where would you do they must sell it somewhere then?
Sure.
I would imagine.
I believe they would have a local market, but then also they can ship to your doorstep via FedEx. And one of the testimonials from folks who do buy camel milk is that because it is so tasty and has great nutritional value. If you have someone in your family who potentially has milk allergies, this is a great replacement for them. So they can continue to get that health food of milk, but they're just getting it from a camel, not a cow.
Wow.
The look on your face is awesome.
You seriously just blew my mind on that one. That I did.
Are you? Maybe you can put out camel milk and cookies for Santa this year.
Maybe I'll get something better then. No, my Santa likes Bacardi and some pasta left out for him. So he might get mad if I leave him camel milk and cookies.
Camel milk.
Yeah,
absolutely. So this is a whole line of distinction for me. I'm thinking I'm going to need to know, what does this taste like? And there's not a robotic setup in the dairies that I've looked at that milk camels, because the animal structure is so much different than a dairy cow.
Right.
And so they're still doing a lot of hand labor in order to milk the camels, because they don't necessarily have the same equipment that you would use for dairy animals.
Interesting. I wonder if any of our listeners have ever tried it. Have you ever tried camel milk? Give us a call.
That's a great question.
701-293-9000. If you did, what did it taste like? But now, I've never had goat milk, and I've heard that tastes quite a bit different than
it does.
Cow's milk.
Yeah,
okay.
Goat's milk will taste different, yes. And then also, your cow's milk will taste different depending on what they've been eating for feed, because that will vary it, much like honey will be different based on where the bees were picking up pollen.
Right. Interesting.
Or nectar.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we have a guest today.
We do.
Okay.
That is Margy Ecklkamp. Margy is with Farm Journal, and she has been with Farm Journal for some time, not only working in their print and digital, but she also is the host of their podcast, The Daily Scoop. So looking forward to talking to Margy about all things that go on in ag media. I mean, besides us. There's more to that.
Awesome.
So we will have Margy joining us very soon. It'll be exciting to visit with her and ask her lots of questions. And as Dean said, for those who want to give a call, you're more than welcome to at 701-293-9000. That's our Red Wing Shoe phone line. Hang tight, get ready to dial, and we'll be right back.
Livestock trade finishing mostly higher on the day Monday. You're listening to the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen with this market update. Let's take a look at things here across the livestock trade as we're wrapping it up on this Monday. And we see these markets holding some good strength on the futures trade with triple-digit gains scattered throughout live and feeder cattle and throughout the hog market as well. Taking a look at feedlot country, things are pretty quiet as we get new show lists out here today. Those appear to be lower in Kansas and Texas, but higher in Nebraska, Colorado. Bids and asking prices yet to be established, and significant trade volume will likely be delayed until Wednesday or later. Beef cutouts are mixed at midday. Choice down 48 cents per hundredweight, $299.98. Select down $1.74 at $269.16 per hundredweight. Meantime, hog prices and trends higher in Dorchester, Wisconsin, with barrels and gilts sitting at 60, while the Gardavillo, Iowa market closed here this week. When we look at pork cutout values at midday, we see those up $3.73 at $89.29, so that could give some decent strength here to the hog futures. Cash hog prices unreported due to confidentiality on the morning report. You're listening to the American Ag Network.
Always up early, always getting the job done. Always working as hard as you can. Always pushing for more, because you never settle. For farmers who seek outstanding performance they can count on, the only brand is DeKalb Corn. Featuring a broad portfolio of products precision bred to maximize profit potential on every field. DeKalb Brand. Never settle. See us at DeKalb.com. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
For some farmers, soybeans are on their mind 24/7. If you're all about the beans, then Asgrow Brand is all about you. That's why we've dedicated ourselves to developing truly localized products. Products with leading genetics and top-tier weed management. Products that maximize the profit potential on every acre you've got. You're serious about soybeans, and we're serious about your success. Visit Asgrow.com. It's all about the beans. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
As we're looking to wrap up trade here, we see again good strength on the futures in cattle and hogs. December live cattle up 112, 175.30. February up 82, 175.47. November feeder cattle up 112, 230.85. January up 197, 228.40. Hogs December up 142, 73.32, and February up 127 at 76.85. Crude oil is up 96 cents a barrel, 78.13. The Dow Jones up 35 points, with beans and bean meal up sharply, pulling corn moderately higher as well. This is the American Ag Network. That's a check of the livestock markets. I'm Jesse Allen reporting.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
And welcome back to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. Thank you for joining us here today. And it is great fun to have myself and Dean Wysocki join you to talk all about ag, weather, and a couple of reminders. Don't forget that we are running a promotion with Legacy Plumbing. They want to make sure that warm hearts and warm homes are available for everyone this holiday season. So now through December 15th, please go to our website, WDAYradionow.com, click on the Hot Links tab, and click on the Warm Heart, Warm Home. Tell us why there is someone you believe who needs a new furnace for Christmas. That would need to be in Clay or Cass County, but they want to work with you to make sure that those in need are warm and taken care of. So great opportunity to please go and promote those things around our local community in a couple of counties here. So
that's for, that's a great cause. And, although you might not be thinking of a furnace right now because it's so stinking nice out, the cold air will be here. Don't worry.
We're not going to escape winter. This is North Dakota. Yeah. We're well known for it, you might say.
No doubt about it.
All right. So we are excited to have with us a guest today from Farm Journal. Many of you are readers of Farm Journal and have had it on your coffee table, desk, or mailbox for a number of years. And one of our guests today is Margy Ecklkamp. Margy is with Farm Journal, both digitally and print, but also she is the host of their podcast, The Daily Scoop. And in fact, I tend to get the daily email from them just to see what's shaking in the world of agriculture. So, Margy, how are you today?
I'm good, Bridgette. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for joining us. I know how hectic your days are. You and I tend to email back and forth now and then, and the fact that you are willing to give up a little bit of time, that's a big deal. Thank you.
No, happy to be with all the listeners up in North Dakota as well. I'm a Missourian, so thank you for welcoming me into your ears.
Every time. All right, Margy, tell us more. Did little Margy have like a little typewriter set up in her playroom and was all positive she was going to be a journalist someday? How exactly did you get to this spot where doing what you're doing?
So I would say from a personal aspiration standpoint, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I guess stereotypically you could say, I was the editor of the yearbook and I always did those sorts of things. But then my main goal in going to college was I wanted to take on as little student debt as I could, and I wanted a job at the end of it. And so I started to look into journalism programs. The University of Missouri has an outstanding journalism school. My dad was an alumni out of the University of Missouri, and I was able to get a pretty great scholarship. I actually grew up down in South Carolina, so I got a waiver of out-of-state tuition, got some money on top of it. And then they sent me this letter about this program called Ag Journalism. And they said, well, instead of some humanities courses, you take more ag science courses, but you still get the full benefit and access of the University of Missouri School of Journalism. We have a great scholarship endowment at the College of Ag, and the Ag J program had 100% job placement rate. And it was just ticking all of these really practical boxes. So that's how I kind of started to forge this path forward. And I've been at Farm Journal now almost 20 years. They've given me awesome opportunities. Agriculture is such a wonderful industry to be a reporter on. And I will never forget, and this is my top thing I tell any student, is listen to your gut during that job interview process. I remember who became my manager asked me if I had a passport because there could very well be even international travel opportunities. And sure enough, within a year and a half of being at the company, I was traveling internationally. Whereas some other job opportunities I had, they were saying things like limitations that I could expect within the first year or two until I kind of earned my way. And I thought, that little gut inside says, follow the opportunity.
Oh, man. No kidding.
And Margy, so you don't have a farm background. I mean, outside of your schooling, correct?
Well, this is okay. So everybody who lives in rural America will understand this story. You never know when you're going to boomerang back to your roots, right? So as I sit today in East Central Missouri, I am less than a mile of where the crow flies from the family farm that my dad grew up on.
Oh, okay.
So I boomeranged from South Carolina all the way back to Missouri, and then very serendipitously through marriage to my parents' hometown. So the world is small, and I think it's better when you make it smaller by meeting people, and it's just a great thing. My dad was actually in university administration in the College of Ag. So I have a very maybe non-traditional, but still rooted in agriculture background, growing up on university research farms.
And Maggie, out of the 20 years that you've been doing this, is there any one particular story that you've written that really, really stands out? Like maybe that was your favorite piece that you had to write about.
It's always the last one I wrote because that's the one. And that's the great part about our job, right? When we're content creators, whether we're writers or broadcasters or video folks, you always get that second bite at the apple the next time you do it. So I'm just recently this summer, I was also named our brand leader of Top Producer. And we just put to bed our next issue of Top Producer. And I mean an hour ago. So I'm really proud of that cover story highlighting our 2023 Top Producer of the Year. That's Silent Shade Planting Company led by CEO Jeremy Jack. And that'll be our November cover story of Top Producer.
So that begs the question, when you talk about Top Producer, and I know you through Farm Journal, how many publications, print and digital, as well as with podcasting, how many different places do you have your fingers in and working on these projects?
Oh, that's a great question. So we are an integrated news team. So we all help each other out. I am focused mainly on row crops, and I am focused on Top Producer, really that brand that serves the CEO business-minded farmer. And then I also am the leader of The Scoop, which is our brand that serves ag retailers. So all in all, we have a lot of publications across the Farm Journal family, like I share with, including row crops, across livestock, dairy, and even the fresh produce industry. And then we do have our corporate cousins that we help each other out over at Ag Day and US Farm Report and AgriTalk Radio. So we're all in it together and we all help each other out. But those are mainly the two brands that I contribute toward.
That's no small task.
Yeah. And Margy, for people that aren't familiar with who you write for, is this nationwide? I mean, do your articles, are they nationwide? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so all of our print publications are nationwide, and we focus on the U.S. market. But then our digital footprint, is digital and can reach all corners where there's an internet connection.
Nice.
And they're very good at it because it fills my inbox every morning. There's a whole new one right there for me to read.
I mean, I'll share with you. I feel like I have had an amazing seat in the media industry. I joke, my claim to fame is I think I was number 12 or 16 at the University of Missouri Columbia that had a Facebook account. And that's when you had to have a .edu email address to get a Facebook account. So I really came out of college during that time of social media gaining its platform. And then when I was hired at Farm Journal, I was hired as a print editor. So I really focused on only doing print magazine content. And I remember it was such a big deal. I went to interview the CEO of AGCO Corporation, who at the time was Martin Rickenhagen. And it was such a big deal that I wrote a preview story for AgWeb, which is our big website that we all contribute content toward. I printed that article out and I put it in my, little humble clipbook where I put all of my magazine tear sheets, because it was such a big deal that this print editor wrote a story for online. Now, if I would do that today, guys, we'd be cutting down trees to make paper for all of the content that we all produce. So it's just, I really feel like I've had a front, row seat to how we've been able to make ourselves multimedia, which is how, and you guys know, that's how our audience is. We're all finding information in all kinds of places.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, Margy, we're at the bottom of the hour, so we've got to pay some bills here. But when we come back, we'll continue to visit with Margy. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call on our Red Wing Shoes hotline. That's 701-293-9000. That's 701-293-9000. I know both Bridgette and I have quite a few questions more. I love it. Again, if you have any questions for Margy or us, give us a call, 701-293-9000. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Are you suffering from neuropathy? Do you experience stabbing pain, numbness, tingling, or burning in your feet? Are you tired of sleepless nights and avoiding life due to pain? If you've been diagnosed with neuropathy or are experiencing pain or numbness in your feet, pick up the phone and call us right now before it's too late at 701-929-7545. Again, that's 701-929-7545. Neuropathy is a very serious and progressive disease where your nerves start to break down. Eventually, it leads to balance problems, falls, complete loss of independence, and it can lead to amputation. Our program addresses the underlying causes and doesn't simply mask your symptoms with medication. In fact, many patients start experiencing relief from neuropathy symptoms within weeks. There's no surgery and no use of prescription drugs. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-929-7545. Call us today at Dakota Clinic of Chiropractic at 701-929-7545 today.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Tucker, WDAY News First. The city of Fargo is taking steps aimed at helping homeless people stay warm this winter. It's called the Winter Warming Initiative. The Downtown Engagement Center along 4th Street North will be open for up to 40 people during periods of cold weather. We're told beds will not be offered. The project is paid for using federal funds. Fargo police are investigating 2 shooting incidents that happened Saturday night. Shortly after 9, officers responded to a report of shots fired along 20th Avenue South. We're told they found evidence of gunfire but did not see a suspect in the area. A short time later, there was a report of shots fired near 11th Street North. The scene officers found there was the same. No suspects are identified and no reports of injury. And a Minnesota native has been killed in a crash involving U.S. soldiers training in Europe. U.S. European Command says 5 American service members were killed when their aircraft crashed into the Mediterranean during an air refueling activity Friday. The Mankato Free Press reports Cade Wolf was among those killed in the crash. Wolf was a 2018 graduate of Mankato East High School. Military officials classified the crash as a mishap. They say there are no indications of hostile activity. Tom Tucker, WDAY, and WDAYRadioNow.com.
Are your trees in need of some TLC? Look no further than Tyler's Tree Service. Whether you're planning for next year or need help now, visit tylerscut.com to request a quote. They'll swing by, assess the job, and send you a competitive bid. That's tylerscut.com.
It's about tradition, values, and family ties. Pucklet Chevrolet GMC's tradition of giving back to our community remains a priority. And that's why we've partnered with many local nonprofit organizations and events. And our tradition of giving this community a fair and honest offer continues. This month, save nearly $7,000 on select new 2024 Chevy Silverado 1500s. We're Pucklet Chevrolet GMC in Valley City. Tradition, values, and family ties.
See dealer for details.
Hi, Teresa here from the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. We're excited to inspire young minds by teaming up with Aurora Elementary School by donating a copy of the book, How Did This Get in My Lunchbox? to every second grade student. Red Wing Shoes is committed to this community, and we're thrilled to help the next generation learn and grow. Thanks for choosing the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store, stepping up for our community, one shoe, one book at a time. Red Wing Shoes, Fargo.
Are your trees in need of some TLC? Look no further than Tyler's Tree Service. Whether you're planning for next year or need help now, visit tylerscut.com to request a quote. They'll swing by, assess the job, and send you a competitive bid. That's tylerscut.com.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Margy, those are screaming goats, and we always have to put those in our show. So, yeah.
Dean, I'm just rolling with it.
Okay. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us. 1:35 in the afternoon. We've got Margy Ecklkamp, right? Is that correct?
Yes, you're fine.
All
yes.
right, okay. And Margy is with Farm Journal, and she's been a journalist for over 20 years. And I got a question for you, Margy. So, what's the most difficult part of your job entail?
Oh, great question. I mean, if you ask that a different way, and it's like, what keeps you up at night, right?
There we go.
And
Yep.
I think it's being creative enough. So taking my tiny little brain and trying to weave together these stories and share the big takeaways in the most influential way that really resonates with our audience. And that doesn't just include like jazzy vocabulary, right? Which helps, but it's also what we were talking about just a couple minutes ago. It's that multimedia circle of how do we give all of these stories, all of the oxygen that they deserve? And when do you know if something should be covered on a radio show or on a podcast or as a magazine article? And I would say it's just making sure that you're being creative enough.
Okay.
And you have to, right? Because the average consumer has an attention span of less than 7 seconds. That's less than a goldfish's attention span. So you better hook them right away, no matter which piece of media you're using, right? Print or digital.
Yeah. Yeah. And you want to make sure, I mean, for folks, I'm still a magazine reader. A lot of folks in agriculture are still magazine readers. And I hope that I always get to make magazines because I love it. It's just also, we know that some folks like to see things put out as a tweet, and timeliness, it's a great tool as well.
Absolutely.
Or an X post or whatever we're calling those now.
Whatever that is. Okay. So what about story ideas? I would imagine you're always on the hunt for what's something that people want to talk about. So I'm going to ask, what do people want to hear about right now? And if someone out there has an idea, should they just be sending it off to you, or what would you like done in that sort of situation?
Absolutely. So folks can definitely find us online and send us all of their ideas. We get a number of those. There's also story touch points, like I shared. We get to highlight our wonderful award winners. We also have a really great in-house research engine here at Farm Journal that's doing a lot of really great studies. So we get to report on some of those findings first and let folks know that that research is available if they want to dig into it. So they're, just talking to people, keeping your ears open sometimes. I mean, also opening your mouth so you can ask the question to try to lead to the introduction, but also keeping those ears open. So that's a great question, Bridgette. I also think that there's social media is a great source too on finding people. I joked that when I started working specifically with ag retailers, those folks are in the yellow pages, so they can't hide from me as easy as like a farmer can. But anymore, you just find people.
And Maggie, I have the utmost respect for journalists. My first job was doing weather, and I had to do reporting and be a journalist, and I had no experience in that, and I ended up getting fired after 2 months. So they had me interviewing Senate candidates. I'm like, I went to school for weather. I didn't go to school for this. So utmost respect for all journalists. Have you ever gotten a story lead where you're thinking, oh man, this is going to be just really, yeah, okay, I'll do it. You're not thinking much of the story lead, and it ends up being something really, really outstanding?
Oh, that's a fair question. Were there ever like those Easter eggs that
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Dean, you may have stumped me because maybe I also, I have that recency bias that I talked about, that
Right.
now I only think of those stories as great instead of the ones that I thought were kind of a dud. I will tell you, I had an opportunity to go to a meeting last week, and you're like, oh, Margy, you were so excited to go to a meeting. But it was one event where I was surrounded with really smart people, and I do work remotely. And I really enjoy working remotely, but I tell people you have to still be willing to go out there. You can't just kind of hide in your cave and get your work done. You still have to go see people. There's great value in making eye-to-eye contact. And there's great value, again, in just keeping your ears open. In agriculture, too, people should and usually are so proud of what they're doing that it's really a great industry to be able to be a storyteller for.
Your background is going to be so varied because you say, I focus on top producer or on the podcast, but think about the expansive number of crops and variable livestock that you've had the chance to go and interview and just learn about.
Oh, it's humbling. It's so humbling. And it's wonderful too, because every day is something different. And I think you kind of have to not only thrive on deadline. When I tell people, in my personal life, oh, I've got a magazine deadline, they just look at me like I'm going to go have a major surgery. Well, for me, it's every day. I mean, it's like you guys making a radio show, right? We do it every day. And so it's listening to that little voice inside your head that says, no, you operate better having deadlines and you can handle it and it's all good.
This is the never ending question for many of us in ag. How's your work-life balance? I mean, I know what my answer is to that. How do you feel what your answer is, Margy?
Yes. So, yes, that's a fair question. I actually think my work-life balance has improved for me personally since I've gone remote. And now I've been remote for almost 10 years. So I was cool before COVID. All right. I was the trendsetter. But it's knowing when to keep the laptop shut. It's also knowing when to put your phone down and when you need to be present, and being present either at your desk and staying focused. Some people are like, oh, I bet you get so much done. Work I do from 8 to 5 every day. I'm also lucky. My husband takes our 2 small kids to grade school, and I get to sit in front of my machine and start cranking at 7:30 every morning. I don't have a commute. And I get a fresh cup of coffee and I open my office doors and away we go. And when necessary, and there's plenty of times it is necessary, I log back on after night, after everybody's kind of settled down, and I get a couple more hours in. So I think it's that, frankly, that agrarian spirit we all have of, we make hay when the sun shines and we get the work done when we need to get the work done.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, because I can tell you when there were certain ag headlines that broke exactly where I was and the need to immediately start digesting more information, right?
I was on my way to vacation when Monsanto bought Precision Planting, and I called Greg Sauter on my way to the airport. I mean, yes, of course, we all have those stories of when a news story broke, and sometimes you let it interrupt. Sometimes you text a teammate, oh my gosh, are you available? I'll also remember the time when John Deere bought Blue River Technologies, and I was approached to have an exclusive first take of the story. And they said, well, we're going to get you the press release at thus and such time, and the interview will be at thus and such time. And I think it was 8:00 at night. And I said, sure, we'll make it work. Because, when the news is there, you're there.
It is. And it doesn't matter what piece of the industry you're a part of, because prior to being in this role with Dean and hosting every day, I will never forget when EPA put out a ban on dicamba, and I was driving on I-90 in South Dakota, and my phone was on vibrate, and my text messages and calls were going off so much it started to literally dance its way across the console of my pickup, like into the passenger seat. And I'm like, oh dear Lord, what is going on? There's something very big happening right now. So those are things that just stick in your mind and you'll always remember. And and weather events, because weather events, whether it's a tornado that wipes out big warehouses for the ag retail industry in the Mid-South, whether it is drought in Western Texas and the Panhandle and into New Mexico, those things also stick with you. And they're probably the most heart-wrenching ones. I'm sure you've had a lot of them, Margy.
Yeah, and it's something that they train you in journalism school is to report on those kinds of crisis moments. Specifically at University of Missouri, we had to write obituaries, but they called them life stories. So we really did take the contact information out of the death notice and try to find somebody who could speak to somebody's life, and then wrote about it. So you as a student, you wrote a lot after you had talked to somebody going through very early stages of grief. And it was valuable training, but it also instilled in you the value of telling sometimes the hard stories.
And Margy, we got time for one last question here, and we can fit in a couple more if Bridgette has a couple as well. But the mainstream media has really taken a hit, I'd say, over the last, 5-10 years on not being trustworthy, maybe very biased on one angle or another angle. Do you run into that in your industry at all?
So I have a lot of folks joke with me like, oh, you're one of the good ones, because we do an accuracy check. So Bridgette will know, she came on the podcast. She got to hear it before it went live, right? When I write a cover story or a big story, I send the quotes and the context attributed to somebody, and I say, hey, I just want to make sure that I got it right. And that's an accuracy check policy. It's standard for us at Farm Journal. And I'm proud that I'm part of an organization that supports that practice. So I can't comment on others' work, but I'm really proud, and it helps me lay my head down at night.
That's awesome.
So glad to hear that.
Right.
And as listeners are following along today, and maybe they think, I have something that might be of interest, or I could be a resource for Margy, how would you like them to reach out to you? I mean, I know how to email you, but what if anybody else wants to?
Well, thank you guys so much for the opportunity to come on and just talk a little bit about writing about this great industry. Everyone at Farm Journal is so proud to be part of it. And thank you for this time. Thank you to our listeners. If you guys want to connect with us, I'm going to send you the email that'll go to all of us. And that is editors@farmjournal.com. And that send us an email, or you're welcome to connect with us on any of our X accounts or Facebook as well.
And they are very responsive. I can attest to it.
And Margy, I've got a great story idea for you. I'm going to run it past Bridgette this afternoon when we're done here, and one of us will be reaching out to you. I think this
awesome. I'm intrigued, Dean.
I think Bridgette knows where I'm going with this. So
I probably do, but we'll make it work.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Margy, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on Weather and Ag in Focus today. It's time for another time to pay our bills. Don't go anywhere. We'll have a weather recap, and we'll go over some more ag topics coming up after the break.
Are you so done with dentures? Can't eat that delicious steak? Help is here. Call Dr. Jeff and the team at Designer Smiles. Dental implants are one of the best ways to replace missing teeth. Dental implants provide a strong foundation for fixed or removable teeth. They are known for being durable and long-lasting. With good care, dental implants can last a lifetime. Dr. Jeff would welcome an opportunity to consult you on your options. Find out more at FargoDentalCare.com or call for a consult 298-9400. 298-9400.
Do you suffer from stiff, achy, chronic knee pain? Have you been told you have arthritis? Is knee pain keeping you from enjoying your favorite hobbies? If so, the next 60 seconds could change your life. Please listen carefully. If we find you are a candidate for our unique approach, we will do a trial treatment, and day one you will know without a doubt if we can help you. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-502-6200. And best of all, we may be able to reduce and even eliminate your knee pain without pills, shots, or surgery. Due to limited capacity, you must call now at 701-502-6200. Hurry. Call now to find out if you qualify for our program that is changing lives and helping people save time, money, and agony. Call now 701-502-6200. You have nothing to lose, so call right now.
It's always a great time to say thank you. S&S Promotional Group, your professional branding partners, are ready to help you say thank you.
When it's time to thank your clients with quality branded merchandise, call S&S.
When it's time to thank your employees for a job well done with awesome branded apparel, call S&S.
Recognize all the important people in your business. Now is a great time to call your on-time, on-target professional branding partner, S&S Promotional Group.
From Detroit Lakes to Bismarck, Grand Forks to Fargo, S&S Promotional Group, your branding partners.
Medicare's open enrollment period is October 15th to December 7th. If you need help comparing your options, call Bell Insurance at 800-369-2501. Bell's health insurance agents can make sure you're in the right plan for 2024. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Currently, we represent 10 organizations which offer 50 products in your area. Contact Medicare.gov, 1-800-MEDICARE, or your local state health insurance program to get more information on all your options.
We've got Brian in studio from Collins & Kronk Raymond James.
Brian, I was visiting with my girlfriend the other day, and she's just a few years from retirement. She was wondering if she can still retire if there's a recession just around the corner.
This is why planning is so important. When Collins & Kronk does a financial plan for you, we look at several different scenarios. We consider the positives or the good times, as well as the bad. What if there is a recession? We do the math so we can answer your questions with confidence. We want to help you make smart decisions like when to retire or what investments to use.
Whether it's a recession or an economic boom, Collins & Kronk can help you make the right decisions. If you have $500,000 or more, call Collins & Kronk in Fargo today, 701-235-0119, 701-235-0119. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Collins & Kronk is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
Oh my God! And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Monday afternoon, November 13th, 1:52 in the afternoon. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And you know what I think the best part of that interview is that maybe if our mainstream media would do this, there'd be a little more trust in the media. I love that her company fact checks everything. And like she said, like she said, I'm very proud to work for a company like that.
Yeah, if you're part of the article or podcast, that you get the opportunity to say this was correctly done in context, et cetera. And I think that's very important. It's important in any industry, but in ag, it's very important because that could completely lead someone astray to a situation on a field or with their livestock that could indeed be a bad deal, right? We could accidentally kill a crop or do harm, and nobody wants that. So I love that Farm Journal makes sure that things are accurate when they do it. And there is nothing wrong. I mean, this is just a rule of thumb for all of us, and I use it. You can actually tell someone, I don't know, but I'll find out. So that's really some truth in reporting as well. I don't know the answer. I'm not going to make it up, but I'll go get the people who do know, and let's talk to them.
And you don't see that very often anymore. So that's right. That's fantastic. Right. It's
a good thing.
Yeah. I did a little research while we were just on commercial break for camel milk. And
did you?
I did. And I mean, you can buy it on Amazon. It's mainly online. There's a dairy farm in Colorado that sells it.
That's the one.
Is that
that's the one that's the one I'm reaching out to.
Oh,
yes.
We got to get them on. And it's not cheap. I mean, it is. No. It's literally for 16 ounces. I think it was $20 for 16 ounce glass.
Yeah, I said it was available. I didn't say it was cheap.
Woo! No, obviously, who's going to pay that? That's and I guess that'd be a great question for the dairy farmer. Like, who's buying this?
Well, I think it's a good question, but also understand you have some folks where that's one of their cultural practices, right? They're most used to camel milk, so that's maybe what they want.
Okay.
2, if you have food allergies and perhaps those food allergies bring you a very restricted diet, and this is a source of nutrition for you, particularly high in certain vitamins, that's important to your lifestyle.
Sure.
So you're going to have to take that. So those are the 2 biggest reasons I would see. Personally, I feel very lucky that I'm pretty happy with cow's milk, but if I couldn't, I'd be looking for some alternatives. Absolutely.
Right. Okay, we got to get we've got to. There's so many questions I have with that. How big? I know. Camels aren't small, like you were saying earlier. The facilities have to be quite large.
And it's interesting when as I asked Margy on purpose in our interview with her, about people being sources. Is it hard to find, or do people volunteer that information? Because I find it interesting when I look for someone to have on our show as a guest. Rarely am I turned down. Those who do may say that, I don't have time. Can we postpone it? Or there may be an aspect to their business where they say, I don't necessarily need people to know more about me because I can only supply the customers I currently have. But I really hope that these folks get back to me, because I think this would be a fabulous discussion of the how and the why. How did they transition from a dairy herd to a camel herd? Where'd the camels come from?
Right.
It'd been pretty wild. And disease-wise, right? You've got to have dairy and buffalo herds and beef herds tested for certain diseases like, tuberculosis or brucellosis, etc. Does that affect camels? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're raising these camels on. Wow, yeah. There's so many questions on that.
So many questions.
Well, let's run down a real quick glimpse of the forecast here as we head into the rest of the afternoon. 50 degrees right now. We do have some high clouds spilling into the area from the west. That will continue through the afternoon, but a mild day today. Highs in the low 50s. If you're wondering, what's our normal? Upper 30s this time of the year. So this is well above normal. And tonight, the winds pick up a little bit more out of the south. You want to get that, Bridgette?
I'll take care of that.
You take care of that. And we're going to have temperatures tonight not nearly as chilly, mid-30s. And as we head into Tuesday, that's your pick day of the week. Highs right around 60 degrees. A little bit of a breeze, but not much out of the south. And the party's over after Thursday. It does turn windy and colder on Thursday with highs falling from the 40s to the 30s. And we'll stay in the 40s, but that's still above normal. So it's not like we're going to fall off the edge of a cliff here and go right back into winter mode. We'll cool it down into the 40s, and it looks like that'll last all the way into the upcoming weekend. So, wow, what a stress. The thing that worries me on this, Bridgette, is it's been a very dry month of November. And I don't see hardly much at all over the next week. So that puts us 3 weeks into November with very dry conditions. Okay, with the LRC cycle still in cycle 1, this is going to be a part of each cycle, a very dry, and I'm assuming we're tailing to the end of the first cycle here. We're starting to see signs this cycle might reset here within about a week or two. Assuming that's the case, the tail end of each LRC cycle is going to be very dry. That's not good. That's not good news. That's not good. That won't be good news for springtime or this upcoming summer as well. So let's hope we can get a surprise storm or two at the end of this first LRC cycle to kind of offset the dryness that we have had. So for Bridgette and myself, I want to thank you for joining us today on Weather and Ag in Focus. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.